Okay, so we are recording. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and then we can start to tackle any sort of questions you may have. Okay. We'll go into this module. All right, so this module is due, let me get rid of module 1. Do you guys have any questions on module 1 before we move to module 2? I know it was pretty simple, fairly easy.
I had a question.
Yeah.
It was about the discussion post. It said it says it's not due until the 14th, which is Sunday, but it said in like the actual post to like post something by like I think the Thursday of the first week. So I was confused on that.
Yeah, no. So there's not many discussions in this course, but how the discussion post works is you'll go ahead and make your the whole idea is to make your first discussion post the first week of the module. And then your second discussion post needs to be due by the second week of the module. So I'll go through today and start going through and reading some of those discussion posts. And then, I kind of go through and I grade the initial one this week. And then I'll read the second one, and I may make comments on some of them. But yeah, usually you do the first one the first week of the module, the second one second week of the module. If you didn't, no big deal. Like this class is supposed to be a hybrid course. It's supposed to be one day a week in class and then the other day a week online. But because of COVID, we decided to go fully online. So I'm not too much of a stickler on the discussions for this class. So not that big of a deal.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm surprised that the discussion is not here. It should be listed here. I need to edit that. All right, let's look at the module 2 assignment. So like all the other assignments, go ahead and copy and paste this in a Word document. And the purpose of this assignment is to number one, teach you guys about when you open up, if you want to open up, or learning how to open up a fitness facility and also a healthcare facility, but it's a little different, to learning the different types of sales or selling of product, or the sale of your services. So learning the difference between value selling and relationship selling is really important. Also emotional sales. These are all just different types of marketing tactics and sale tactics. I would say from a health or fitness perspective, you tend to get the most bang for your buck when you just rely on your product and your service being a really, really good product and service, and you don't focus too much on emotional sales or relationship sales. The value selling is really where your bang for your buck is in fitness facilities and healthcare facilities. You have a good product and you have a good service, and you're able to sell that product and service. So read up on that, know the difference between that. Just 2 questions on that, not too big of a deal, not too important. Now, here is where I want you guys. So what are some services that fitness facilities might have or offer clients? This can be healthcare or fitness facilities. So if in your final project, you want to have a healthcare facility or a PT clinic or maybe a yoga facility, then gear this towards that, okay? Because in your final project, you're gonna have to write up your services. So I would begin that process right now. Write down your services of what you plan on having. you can go through, answer these questions. These are real basic questions, just understanding what initial prospect interview is. It's not that important. So understanding the facility services, client's goals, that's so crucial for client acquisition. And whether you're planning on being a PT clinic, an OT clinic, a strength and conditioning facility, client acquisition is absolutely number one. I mean, even PT clinics do this. They get their client acquisition from mostly referrals from orthos, but they can get it in other means. If you look at like Sport Mojo Clinic here in town, John Duplessis owns that, and he doesn't rely on a lot of referrals. He does most of his stuff by people just walking in. Whereas a facility like Benchmark Physical Therapy, who's just a PT clinic, whereas Sport Mojo Clinic is also strength and conditioning and PT, Benchmark Physical Therapy relies solely on referrals from orthos. So not many walk-ins. So their client acquisition is based on, if you're a referral business, your client acquisition is based on having a relationship with an MD or an ortho or something along those lines. When you are just a fitness facility, if you want to just open up just a straight up fitness facility, then your client acquisition is based on your services that you have. So having quality good services and gearing those services towards a specific target market. So understanding your target market and learning who your target market is really, really important, okay? And I would, when you talk about, especially this question here, describe some techniques in which you could combine a facility service to a client's goal and how you would sell the technique with the client. This is, you have to go for your target market. A CrossFit gym is not going to go for 70-year-old, 65-year-old athletes, or maybe people that just want to stay in shape, or maybe fall prevention programs. CrossFit places don't do that. So know your target market, know your facility services, and that's why coming up with solid facility services. So this question number 4, I would match that to your question number 6, okay? So all these assignments, I want you to start gearing them towards a facility that you would like to open, okay? Because the draft is coming up and you're gonna have to really tackle all that stuff in your draft. Some basic questions. What are some benefits of personalized strength training? I mean, that's, you know, that's pretty easy to answer. You can Google that, or you can just come up with that off the top of your head. It's not real hard. All right, internal marketing versus external marketing and cost benefit analysis. This is a really important question here because this is specifically going to affect how you develop your draft. And in your draft, you're going to have to come up with internal marketing tools and external marketing tools. And you're going to have to come up with cost benefit analysis. So you might as well write up stuff that's going to match what you want to do. And let's go over a cost benefit analysis. So let me just kind of pull up a sheet of paper here, and let me go into a new document, and I'll kind of give you an example of a cost benefit analysis and what I want to see written up. So first off, internal marketing. So do you feel, define internal marketing. So first of all, internal marketing is any sort of marketing strategy that you do in-house. So let's say that you own a fitness facility. An internal marketing strategy could be, hey, pay for a year membership to our facility and you get 2 free strength and conditioning sessions one-on-one. That's an example of internal marketing. Another example of internal marketing is in your locker rooms, you have posted up flyers for maybe an upcoming tournament or event that you're hosting at your facility, and you have sign-up sheets available. That's internal marketing. External marketing is anything that's external from your facility. So, for instance, advertising on Instagram or advertising on Facebook or advertising on the radio, which is totally not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it. And I'll actually show that as a cost benefit analysis. So in your draft and in your paper, you're going to have to do a cost benefit analysis for external marketing strategies. So how do we do that? Well, so first off, you're going to write in what your examples are. So you'll have to say, okay, so external marketing, and you'll have to say, you can choose anything, but let's just choose radio because it's a complete waste of money and time. And we could show you that. So radio advertisements. Radio advertisements here in Wilmington cost anywhere between $490 on the low end to roughly around $700 to $800 a month, but we'll just say $800 a month and go on the high end. Okay. So that's how much that costs. And you're going to get with that, let's say 4 custom ads a day plus 2 mentions on morning and afternoon talk show, which back in the 90s and the early 2000s was very advantageous. But these days, rarely people listen to radio. It does not have the numbers it used to have. In fact, most radio stations now are closing. Okay, they're not making it. So that's what you get from it, right? Okay, so that's all well and good. So let's say, just for easy math's sake, that it's going to cost us, because we worked out a deal with them, $500 a month. So for $500 a month, and you sign a contract for, let's say, 3 months, you have $1,500 you have to recoup, and you get that for 3 months. Now, in order to recoup that, how you do your cost benefit analysis and how I want to see it on your final draft in your paper is really, really easy. Go ahead and do a table. Now, this is about as basic as you can get for a cost benefit analysis. When you actually get into the real world, you have to do what's called a pro forma and really break it down in detail. But just so for the basics, you can know for the here and now, this is how you do it. So you make a table, and you'll have to do several external strategies. So you have your external strategy. So you can write it up like this. Here's your external strategy. Here's the cost of it. And then actually what you may want to do, it's maybe easier. Whoops. You'll go, you can do your external strategy like so. And go, let's say radio. And then your cost or your expense, let's turn that as expense because it's better to say expense, is going to be 500. And then, so you'll have a, we can even just call it for simple terms, what's the cost of your overhead, okay, per month. All right, so what's the cost of your overhead per month? And let's say that the cost of your overhead per month is $17,000 to run the facility. Okay. Now you can break down that overhead for $17,000. And then this is part of your $17,000 is 500, you know? And so you can do an overhead breakdown. And you'll have that be, and you can do that in either going from, you know, left to right or going down, or you can have that as a separate table, maybe easier as a separate table to have your overhead breakdown. But either way, you want to have an overhead breakdown. What does that mean? So you have, let's just say, fixed expenses are like your light, utilities, everything that is the same every single month. Your electric usually is, we term it into, it's variable. So you have variable and fixed, but we tend to say it's fixed even though it is variable, but you know, you just get an average and it's easier to lump it into fixed expenses. So all your rent and all that sort of stuff is fixed. So let's just say that's 8,000. Your external radio or your external strategy, your radio is going to go into your fixed expenses because that's fixed. So for that month, it's going to be, for those 3 months, it's going to go into your fixed expenses. So you have your fixed expenses, then you have your variable, which varies, and that is everything from payroll to maybe any sort of products that you may sell at the facility, like smoothies or whatever, goes into your variable. And let's say that your variable makes up the rest of that amount of cost, and which is $9,000. Okay, so that's your basic breakdown of it. All right. Now, what's it going to cost, or what's your return on your investment? Your ROI is what you want to figure out. So if you are spending an extra $500 a month that adds to this 17,000, okay, how much do you need to make in order to make this, number one, a break even, and then number two, to figure out and make a profit? So hopefully your facility is already making some sort of money, right? Because this is just one expense out of all the rest of the expenses that you have. You know, your rent's going to be the highest. That's going to be about 6,000 to 7,000, depending on the size of your square footage of your place. So how much do you need to make? Well, if you cost of your services, let's say a package of 12 for a CPT is, let's say 450 for a package of 12. Okay. So that means that one package of 12 sessions isn't even going to cover the cost of this. Well, one package of 12 sessions also costs you about 60% goes to your personal trainer that you have to hire if you want to pay them well. So usually some places do a 60-40 split, some places do a 70-30 split. So let's say you want to do a 60-40 split. So 450 times 60%. So $270 of that is going to be going to your personal trainer. So you have an expense of just this one line item as for the 12 session CPT at $270. So you know you're already out for that month, $270. So really the cost of what you made is, your net is $180 is what you made. So this right here cost you $500, and you sold only one package in 1 month from that of 12, and you still have to pay your CPT. So you only made, so that's your expense. So your net on that one session is $180 is your net. Your gross is $450. You sold you had to pay $270. Your net is $180. That means that you're still at a 180 minus, or 500 minus 180. You're still at a negative 320. So you need to still make up a negative 320. So if your net is 180 on that, if you do, 180 times 3, you would need to sell 3 of those packages to get a return on investment, because 3 of those packages equal $540. So you would need to sell 3 of these packages to be able to recoup at least a break even for the external strategy, because you would make $540. And that's not accounting for all the other expenses that you have. Okay, that's just accounting for the expense of the external strategy and the expense of the CPT. So this is a little messy how it's written up. I just wrote it in this table, but you want it in tables, but you can do multiple tables. So I would have one table of your overhead breakdown. So how much your fixed expenses are. If you want to go in detail, and let's say you really want to open up a facility in real life, then I would go in detail with your fixed expenses. I would predict out because this is what I did with my company, is I predicted out how much it would cost for rent. I predicted how much it would cost for upfit of the facility. How much does it cost to build walls? Do all that. I averaged out $10,000 for an upfit build. First time capital expense for equipment. I did $60,000 for all of my equipment, and that included physical therapy equipment plus strength and conditioning because I had a hybrid facility. So you can go in detail like that if you want. So you would have one table with that. Then one table with the costs of all your external strategies. So you would have one table of several lines of this. So what is your external strategy? Radio, what's the expense? 500. What's your total? And this would stay the same. You don't have to have your total. You could wrap up your total in the overhead breakdown table. And then you would have a separate table of what each service cost, the expense of that service to pay an employee to run that, and then what your net would be afterwards. And you can put your net, let's say, over here. So then you would have multiple tables like that, right? And then your last table, and I'm just doing this all in one table, would be your RO. We can just term it ROI. What's your return on investment? And so you would say something like, you would need to sell 3 packages of 12 CPT to equal a net of 540. Your expense would be 500. So then your external strategy ROI would be a positive $40 because it would cost you 500. And really it wouldn't be a positive $40, but you could just break it down in that simplistic term because really you got to pay for lights, water, utility, trash, right? Phone service, internet service, cable service. So really you would want to look at maybe looking at a return on investment to where you double the value of your net. So your net should be 1,000. So if your net is 1,000, then that means that you've purchased one along with covering the cost of one, and you have an extra 500 left over to cover other expenses and maybe put a little money in your pocket, because as an owner, you'd like to have a dividend. That's putting money in your pocket. So really you need to sell 6 of these to then be at 1,080. And then you're looking at, a better profit. So that's a return on investment, and you want to have separate tables for each of those, if that makes sense. I know this isn't the best. Usually I'm in class on a board doing this, not on Microsoft Word. But that's how you want to write it up. Now for this assignment, that's for your draft. For this assignment, literally what I just told you is this right here. How would you determine a cost-benefit analysis for external marketing? Okay, that's literally what I just did right there, was determined a cost-benefit analysis for an external marketing. So basically everything I said there. So hopefully you took notes because I literally just answered that question. Give two examples of cost-benefit analysis for external marketing. If you're smart, you would go ahead and kind of do it up just like that. And then boom, you already have that done for your draft. So you don't have to worry about doing it for your draft because then you just put that into your draft. Give 2 examples of external marketing you have seen or experienced. Have you gone to a gym? Have you seen a sponsored ad on Instagram? All you have to say is, yeah, I got an O2 sponsored ad on Instagram. Boom. Okay, there you go. Then do you feel like they're beneficial for client acquisition? Do they work? Radio does not work. I did radio. It was the dumbest idea I ever did. I was locked into it for 3 months and I lost $1,800 and maybe got 2 packages sold. It was the worst thing I could have done. Don't ever do radio. And then lastly, describe how a facility or fitness professional could use social media marketing. I feel like this can't get any easier to answer, especially with your age group. I mean, I'm on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok, but I'm on Instagram and I see how many people are either fitness professionals and they use social media as an educational tool along with promoting their own services, which is really, really smart. or a facility promoting social media marketing by just showing off what they do and then also throwing advertisements every once in a while. Okay. So just slipped off my desk. So that's that. Any questions on this assignment? No? Sweet. All right, so that's that assignment. That's how you do that assignment well. Looking ahead, you got a quiz in the next module, which is the next 2 weeks. Then you have your social media marketing assignment, and I'll go over that in that next, when I do the Zoom for that. But all this stuff you're going to embed into here. Module 5, March 28th. So start thinking about this now. Look at this now. Your business plan draft is due, okay? And your business plan draft is your groundwork. This is how you set yourself up, okay? Now, there's an example one here. This example one is not the end all be all, the most amazing thing ever. In fact, I would say this is not a great one to copy, but this is just a sample business plan for a fitness facility, okay? I don't like this table of contents. Definitely don't use a table of contents like this. When we get to this module, I'll explain and show and give you an example of how to set up your paper properly, because I want to teach you how to write a paper that you'll need to know those tools for grad school. Okay, this is not how you write up a paper for grad school. You'll get a fat F on this section if you do it like this. And then obviously your business plan will not be as in-depth. It'll be relatively in-depth, but not as in-depth as this. Okay. And then we'll go over this week, but real quick, just so in case you haven't opened this yet, you can see what it looks like. So I would behoove you to open it. These are the sections. So here in blue is what you're going to need to have completed. In red is what you just only need the headings for. So you need all these headings, okay? But we'll go in this in detail, and I'll go line by line and explain what should be in what. But a lot of this stuff, this is going to be done. A lot of this stuff is going to be done through these assignments. If you notice this right here in your marketing plan, there's your cost benefit analysis. So you're going to do that this week. If you do it properly, all you have to do is just embed it in here. So the goal is to be creating our business plan as the semester goes so that you're not basically procrastinating. The idea is to teach you, hey, you don't have to procrastinate. So how do you not procrastinate? Okay. Any questions on that? Or any questions for me in general? Nope. All right. Well, since this class is not in person, I don't really do a whole lot of in-depth lecturing. So for the here and now, that's pretty good. Let's knock out that assignment, and then let's focus on next week. We will go a little bit more in depth, because next week is a little bit more important regarding these next chapters. So if you have the book, we're going to talk about different profit centers. There's this section right here where I want you to go on this website and read this website. So that'll be next week. And then we'll go a little bit more in depth next week, because that lecture is, I'll have an actual lecture for that when we meet, because that one's a little bit more important. Okay. Touche. Right on. All right. If you guys don't have any questions for me, then that'll be pretty good. I will post this so that you guys can go back and read that whole little lecture bit I did on cost benefit analysis and return on investment, so that you can have a good idea, and you can go back and you can listen to that to write out how to do that. There's also a lot of resources online for cost benefit analysis. When I opened up my company, I had to look all that stuff up and teach myself all that stuff, because we didn't really have this class. So, all right, if you guys got any questions, you can shoot me an email, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.